Hey guys, my name is Shreyans, and as you can obviously see by the title of this video and by what you're viewing right now, this is a College Board SAT practice test. Now, this is going to be part one of my review for the SAT, and I hope I can help you guys for no cost. Alright, so to begin with the SAT is basically a test on what you've learned so far throughout your middle school and high school years. So in the SAT, there are four sections. There's a reading section, the writing/grammar section, and then the math no calculator and the math with calculator, for a total of about 3 hours, 3.5 hours, if I'm not mistaken. So in the reading section, you're usually given 5 passages with 65 minutes to complete 52 questions, and each passage has about 500 to 750 words in total. So usually you're given two science passages or one, and two historical passages, as well as one world literature passage, aka like fiction. So basically, an SAT practice one. For this part, we're going to be going over the reading test. So right now, we're going to be getting the first passage. So if you want, you can read along with me, or you can skip towards the questions. So first things first, always, in the SAT passages, you should always read these in italics or the little subsection before the actual reading passage. So here it says, this passage is from Lydia Minatoya, The Strangest of Beauty. And it says 1999 by Lydia Minatoya. The setting is in Japan in 1920. She and her daughter Naomi are members of the House of Fuji, a noble family. So right there, that gives the detail on characters that are going to be in the passage. Right, so to begin. Akira came directly, breaking all tradition. Was that it? Had he followed form? Had he asked his mother to speak to his father to approach a go-between? Would Chie have been more receptive? He came on a winter's eve. He pounded on the door while a cold rain beat on the shuttered veranda. So at first Chie thought him only the wind. The maid knew better. Chie heard her soft, scuttling footsteps, the creak of the door. Then the maid brought a calling card to the drawing room for Chie. She was reluctant to go to her guest. Perhaps she was feeling too cozy. She and Naomi were reading at a low table set atop a charcoal brazier. A thick quilt spread over the sides of the table, so their legs were tucked inside with the heat. Who is it at this hour, in this weather? She questioned as she picked the name card off the maid's lacquer tray. Shinoda Akira, Kobe Dental College, she read. Naomi recognized the name. She heard a soft intake of air. I think you should go, said Naomi. Akira was waiting in the entry. He was in his early 20s, slim and serious, wearing the black military-style uniform of a student. As he bowed, his hands hanging down, a black cap in one, a yellow oil paper umbrella in the other. She glanced beyond him. On the glistening surface of the courtyard's rain-drenched paving stones, she saw his reflection like a dark double. Madame, said Akira, forgive my disruption, but I come with a matter of urgency. His voice was soft, refined. He straightened and stole a deferential peek at her face. In the dim light, his eyes shone with sincerity. She felt herself starting to like him. Come inside. Get out of this nasty night. Surely your business can't wait for a moment or two. I don't want to trouble you. Normally I would approach you more properly, but I received word of a position. I have an opportunity to go to America as dentist for Seattle's Japanese community. Congratulations, she said with amusement. That is an opportunity, I'm sure, but how am I involved? Even noting Naomi's breathless reaction to the name card, Chie had no idea. Akira's message, delivered like a formal speech, filled her with maternal amusement. You know how children speak so earnestly, so hurriedly, so endearingly about things that have no importance in an adult's mind? That's how she viewed him, as a child. It was how she viewed Naomi. Even though Naomi was 18 and training endlessly in the arts needed to make a good marriage, Chie had made no effort to find her a husband. Akira blushed. Depending on your response, I may stay in Japan. I've come to ask for Naomi's hand. Suddenly, Chi felt the dampness of the night. Does Naomi know anything of your ambitions? We have an understanding. Please don't judge. My candidacy. by the unseemliness of this proposal. I ask directly because the use of a go-between takes much time. Either method comes down to the same thing, a matter of parental approval. If you give your consent, I become Naomi's Yoshi. We live in the house of Fuji. Without your consent, I must go to America to secure a new home for my bride. Eager to make his point, he had been looking her full in the face. Abruptly, his voice turned gentle. I see I've startled you. My humble apologies. I'll take no more of your evening. My address is on my card. If you don't wish to contact me, I'll reapproach you in 2 weeks' time. Until then, good night. He bowed and left, taking her ease with effortless grace, like a cat making off with a fish. Mother, she heard Naomi's low voice and turned from the door. He has asked you? The sight of Naomi's clear eyes, her dark brows, gave Chi strength. Maybe his hopes were preposterous. Where did you meet such a fellow? Imagine, he thinks he can marry the Fuji heir and take her to America on the snap of his fingers. Chi waited for Naomi's ripe laughter. Naomi was silent. She stood a full half minute, looking straight into Chi's eyes. Finally, she spoke. I met him at my literary meeting. Naomi turned to go back into the house, then stopped. Mother? Yes, I mean to have him. Alright, so that obviously is the end of the passage. And down here it has a star, or the asterisk, which says, a man who marries a woman of higher status and takes their family's name. Now that, if you look, refers back to where he calls Kira, if I remember correctly, a Yoshi. So Yoshi is basically a man who marries a woman of higher status compared to him, as well as taking her name, not the man's. Alright, so after reading this passage, you can clearly tell it's fiction. And one thing we got to make sure is just, if you want, reread it again, but make sure you remember that you have a 65-minute time limit. So basically, for passages like this, given you have 5 passages, I recommend you take about 12 minutes each passage, 6 minutes on the reading and 6 minutes on the questions. So given that, obviously reading out loud takes way longer, and if you did hear, I did stutter on a couple of words, but you'll be reading in your head during the test, hopefully. Yeah. Alright, so starting with the questions. So question 1, it asks, which choice best describes what happens in the passage? So this question is basically asking for a summarization. So in the passage, if we allude back to the beginning, it mainly talks about how Akira is asking Naomi's mother, Chi, permission to marry her. So after reading this, we can go back here and we can see the selections that we can get, or the choices, my fault. So A is one character argues with another character who intrudes on her home. So obviously, it's not really an argument going on between Chi and Akira. So we can easily cross that one off. Next one is B. One character receives a surprising request from another character. Now, Chi does receive a surprising request from Akira for her daughter's hand in marriage. So I guess this could be one of the choices. But just to make sure, we'll go over the rest. Now, C is one character reminisces about choices she has made over the years. So it's not really talking about reminiscing, first of all. And second of all, in C, it's talking about how she has made over the years. Now, we can easily infer that Akira is the male in this situation, and he's not really reminiscing. And so first of all, right off the bat, it's not she, so that just makes that question wrong. Now, usually in questions like these, if parts of it are true, while other parts aren't, then the whole question or the whole choice itself is not true. So don't let that fool you. If a small part is right and if a small part is wrong, if even a little bit of it's wrong overall. Now D is, one character criticizes another character for pursuing an unexpected course of action. Now Chie does criticize Akira, but not to his face, mainly towards her daughter Naomi. So given that, we can easily conclude that the answer is B. Now on to the next question. The next question asks, which choice best describes the developmental pattern of the passage? Now, this is also another analysis question, obviously. So basically, after you've read, and you should usually take side notes here along the margins, given that you can easily conclude what the answer is. So to start off, let's look at a careful analysis of a traditional practice. It's not really analyzing a traditional practice, although it does talk about what the practice is in the beginning paragraph up to line 10, talking about how what he was doing was so unseemly and untimely and not really according to standard. Now, B is a detailed depiction of a meaningful encounter. Now, this could be right, considering that this did happen. It fully details the encounter between Naomi, Chie, and Akira. So we'll have that in mind. Now, C is a definitive response to a series of questions. Now, there's no definitive response at the end, really. Akira never really gets a response from Naomi. Although Naomi does say she wants to marry him, but it's not in front of him, it's to her mother. So we can cross off C. And D is a cheerful recounting of an amusing anecdote. Now, it's not really an anecdote. It is a short story, kind of, meant to pass time, but we can't just infer that. Remember, you cannot infer anything in the SAT. You must have evidence for each question. So for number 2, we can carefully conclude that the answer is B. Now, as we go on to question 3 asks, as used in line 1 and line 65, directly most nearly means. Now, for these questions, definitions or substitutions for words, we always need to make up your own and then look at the answer choices given, or else you might get confused. So it says line 1 and line 65, so we have to go up there and find directly. So here in line 1 it says, Akira came directly, breaking all tradition. So let's see. So right off the bat, Akira came directly. So I guess you can substitute for straightforward, for example. Now if we go to line 65, we have an understanding. Please don't judge my candidacy by the unseemliness of this proposal. I asked directly because the use of a go-between takes much time. So directly, once again, it seems like he's trying to convey that he means something in a straightforward fashion, so that we can look through the choices. So frankly, it kind of substitutes for honestly. It won't really fit in here. So we have an understanding, yada yada. Please don't judge my candidacy by the unseemliness of this proposal. I ask frankly because the use of a go-between takes much time. He's not really he's not trying to be frank, and it just doesn't fit in properly. The next word is confidently. So confidently, if we substitute that in line 1, Akira came confidently, breaking all tradition. We can't really assume he was confident, so right off the bat, that answer is probably going to be wrong. Now, we're left with C and D. So in C, it says without meditation. Or mediation, my fault. Without mediation. So what this means is that without second thought, becoming straightforward, precisely what I intended for the word to be. So if we substitute that here, Akira came without mediation, breaking all tradition. So that fits in. And for 65, I ask without mediation because the use of a go-between takes much time. So it's kind of like asking without a second thought. So C can work. And now that we have an idea of what it could be and we have our own definition, we can easily cross off D, which is saying with precision. Now, question 4 is, which reaction does Akira most fear from Chi? And question 5 asks, which choice provides the best evidence for the answer to the previous question? Now, these are 2-part questions. The first part is asking for an answer, and the second part is asking for evidence. So with these questions, what I recommend is going to the evidence first. I like to call these questions evidence pairs, as well as do my teachers. And basically, like I just said, let's stick to the evidence first, so that we have a main idea of what's going on. So you see how here it has all the line numbers and the first word of the sentence to the last word of the sentence in the given frame. Now, what you want to do on the real SAT, this will be on paper. So you can do, for example, A is line 33. So if you go to line 33, it basically is over here, 31, 32, 33. So it was here. His voice was soft, refined. So that's the question, or that's the one of the choices. So here you can easily box this off from here and here. Now, basically, what we're trying to find is the reaction that Akira most fears from Chi. So if you go to question 5, so let's go to 33 once again. 33 is his voice was soft, refined. That doesn't show what Akira was afraid of, so that is not right. Next is 49 to 51, which is B. If we scroll up here, 49 to 51. You know how children speak so earnestly, so hurriedly, so endearingly. And then it ends at 51. So about things that have no importance in adults' mind. That question is also wrong because it doesn't really explain what Akira is fearing. Now C, if we go to line 63 to 64, we have an understanding. Please don't judge my candidacy by the unseemliness of this proposal. So right here, we can kind of make a very small inference. No, it's not best to make inferences, and you shouldn't. But once in a while, you'll need to infer. So here it says, please don't judge my candidacy by the unseemliness of the proposal. So he doesn't want to be judged by how unseemly this proposal is. It's straightforward, it's too direct, it's without any background. So that could be a choice. After we go to D, 71 to 72, basically states, eager to make his point, he'd been looking her full in the face. This doesn't really this doesn't really answer the question. So that being said, we can easily select C for number 5. Now no, you also have to go back to number 4 to find out what answer we got given the evidence. So now that we have the evidence, we can clearly see these answer choices. She will consider his proposal inappropriate. B, she will mistake his earnestness for immaturity. C, she will consider his unscheduled visit an imposition. And D, she will underestimate the sincerity of his emotions. So 4, we can easily choose A. She will consider his proposal inappropriate. Because this is the most directly stated sentence. If we go back to C, where lines 63 to 64 stand. Please don't judge my candidacy by the unseemliness of this proposal. So right there is basically this restates her statement, his statement. Now number 6. In the passage, Akira addresses Chi with, and this one is straightforward. All you have to do is look further in the passage. And most of these questions are in order. So for example, question 1 would most likely begin in the beginning of the passage, or it talks about the whole passage overall itself, just as question 2 did. And as question 3, it goes to line 1 and line 65, once again in overall. Then we start slowly going to order from beginning to end. Now for 6, in the passage, Akira addresses Chi with what? Now after reading this passage, we can probably infer easily what this answer is. So number 1 is A, or number 6, A is affection but not genuine love. B is objectivity but not complete impartiality. C is amusement but not mocking disparagement. And D is respect but no utter deference. So right away we can cross out B and C, because Akira does not look at Chi in an objective manner, and he does not look at her in an amusing or mocking manner, or not mocking manner. None of that is ever brought up. So all we're left with is A and D. Now, if we continue on A, it says affection but not genuine love. This is incorrect, because he definitely does show Chie that he genuinely loves her daughter, Naomi. And he's doing everything he can to get her heart, to get her love. So we can easily cross A, leaving D, respect but not utter deference. Which is true, because if you go to lines to 26, he does call Chie. He does not call, but as he bowed, his hands hanging straight down, a black cap and one, a yellow pulley, yada yada yada. So here it talks about how he's bowing down to her, he's showing her respect, pretty much. So with that, we can easily choose D. Now back to number 7. Number 7 is the main purpose of the first paragraph is to. Now, don't look at the answers, first of all, for these questions. So we can hide that and we can infer ourselves. So if we go to the first paragraph, what we have to do is basically talk to ourselves and state what happens if we remove this paragraph. So lines 1 to 4, it basically talks about how Akira approached Chie to ask for Naomi's hand in marriage. So it's basically reflecting on what he's already done. That's what we can make out of it. Now if we go down here to number 7, in number 7 it says A, describe a culture, B, criticize a tradition, C, question a suggestion, or D, analyze a reaction. So knowing that what happened, he was just recollecting what had happened and seeing if he made any mistakes or anything, we can easily infer that the answer is D, analyze a reaction. When I mean infer, I don't mean infer, we can conclude, my fault. Now, question number 8 asks, as used in line 2, form most nearly means. Once again, don't look at the answers given. Let's go to line 2 and find form. So, line 2. Now, also with vocab words, you need to make sure to get context. So read a little bit before and a little bit after. So line 2 is here, and the word form is there. But we're going to read this whole previous section as well. Akira came directly, breaking all tradition. Was that it? Had he followed form? Had he asked his mother to speak to his father to approach a go-between? Would she have been more receptive? So form here is probably talking about tradition. So that's a definition that we can infer upon. If we go down here, as used in line 2, form most nearly means A, appearance, nope, B, custom, maybe, C, structure, or D, nature. So it's not C, it's not structure, and D, it's not nature. It's talking about the custom, what's usually thought of when in a proposal. Now, number 9 is, why does Akira say his meeting with Chie is a matter of urgency in line 32? Now, if we go to line 32, we can find the answer or near around there. But we also have to go to look at number 10, because number 10 is the evidence part of this question. So this right here is an evidence pair, number 9 and 10. So the question is, why does he say his meeting with Chie is a matter of urgency? So if we go to line 39, it states, I don't want to trouble you. That doesn't answer anything. It's completely bland. Now if we go to line 39 of 42, on the other hand, 39 of 42. I don't want to trouble you. Normally I would approach you more properly, but I've received word of a position. I have an opportunity to go to America as a dentist for Seattle's Japanese community. Bam, right here is all the juice. As you see, it talks about why it was in an urgent manner. So we can say with security that the answer can be B. Now to make sure, we still have to go through the other choices. So C is 58 to 59. Now in 58 to 59, it says, depending on your response, I may stay in Japan. Doesn't answer anything. Lastly, we have, 72 to 73, which is D. 72 to 73 basically states, I see I've startled you. My humble apologies. I'll take no more of your evening. My address is on my card. Now, I obviously read a little bit ahead for context, but basically it's over here. That's what the section is that we're reading. It talks about him startling her, but it doesn't really explain what happens and why. So clearly the answer for number 10 is B. Now, given that, we can easily, given B, we know that he's given a job in America to work in the Japanese community in Seattle. So we can basically find that answer here in 9. So A, he fears that his own parents will disapprove of Naomi, never brings that up. B, he worries that Naomi will reject him and marry someone else, never brought up. He has been offered an attractive job in another country, is brought up. We'll keep that in mind just to make sure. We look at D2. He knows that she is unaware of his feelings for Naomi. That is not true. That's never stated. We can't assume that. No assumption is allowed. So given that, number 9 is C. And that wraps up the first passage. Thank you for watching part 1. And as we go through these videos more and more, you'll hopefully start to get a better understanding of the SAT and what to expect, as well as my teaching skills will hopefully be a lot better. Thank you for watching and have a nice one.